You know, there's nothing like cracking that cellophane and pulling that record out. It just smells great.
Welcome to BODS Mayhem Hour.
Non-stop hardcore energy.
I love the show, guys. You're awesome.
Unlike any other.
With your host, John the Bod, a.k.a. the Bod Father.
Man, this stuff rocks.
The views and opinions of the guests do not necessarily reflect the views and opinions of BODS Mayhem Hour, its staff, affiliates, or sponsors. Parental discretion is advised. Welcome to BODS Mayhem Hour.
This is Michael Beck from Escape The Hive, and you are watching BODS Mayhem Hour, and he's going to rock your balls off.
Hey, everybody, welcome to BODS Mayhem Hour. I am your host, John the Bod, a.k.a. the Bod Father. And as always, I bring you guys and gals awesome interviews. Today, it's an honor and a huge privilege to welcome Michael Beck, who is the vocalist of Escape The Hive. And Escape The Hive has released their debut album entitled This Is Gonna Sting back in September 2023. So we're going to talk to Michael about all this good stuff about this new album. Plus, Michael's been around. If you don't know him, he's been around since the 70s doing this stuff. So, hey, we're going to talk about that too, because once you have your sound and your set and your sound, it kind of sticks with you. So we're going to talk about that too. Michael, welcome to the podcast. And how you doing, my friend?
Hey, thanks very much for having me. I'm doing great, man.
Not a problem whatsoever. So how excited were you guys to release this new album entitled, of course, This Is Gonna Sting last year? And did the album turn out exactly the way you guys wanted it to?
Well, I mean, pretty damn excited is the answer. You know, I was in a band before COVID, and then COVID kind of messed that up. And, you know, just a band being inactive just is a bad thing for a band. And then it just kind of all fell apart. So putting this together was, I mean, it not only was it great, but it's great the way it came together, because it was pretty natural. Everything just kind of, the pieces just kind of floated in out of thin air for the most part. And then the end result, I just couldn't be happier with. That the guys in the band are it's, you know, usually when you're in a band, it's not this good. It's not everybody gets along this well. Not everybody is respectful to each other as they could be. This is just, it's really something. And and then on top of that, just a great band to stand in front of as far as a singer. Really great musicians. I just couldn't be happier. So the record turned out great. We're getting some really good reviews, and I'm happy as punch on a sunny day.
Lord, he's happier than a possum stuck in a garbage can. Leave him alone, folks. That's what
I knew I'd bring one out of you.
You know, you hit something on the head there. And you're exactly right. COVID shut down a lot of stuff for everybody. I mean, it ruined a lot of stuff for everybody.
Yeah.
And I talked to these bands during the course of COVID, and they're telling me, like, we've got 3 to 4 albums already. I'm like, really? But are we really going to see the light of day of those songs and albums? Because you're a musician, you've been doing this for so long, you know what I'm getting ready to say. Is your mind going to be really set to say, let's put these out? Because when I think of COVID and what happened, I'm sick of it. I don't want to go back and relive that. But as a musician, I mean, do you want to see stuff like that come out? Because those songs need to be out.
Well, I mean, the biggest problem with the COVID thing is that, you know, you're spinning your wheels. I mean, if you're fortunate enough to spin them in the studio, then I guess that's not bad. The band I was in previous to this was a band called Kings of Dust, and we literally released on the day they announced the lockdown, which is just perfect timing. And you know, all the touring and all the planning and all just went out the window. It just went out the window. And by the time everything turned back around, it just wasn't, there was lots of things going on, and it wasn't the same situation. And it probably was the same situation. I just didn't know it. But a lot of things came to light, and it just wasn't there anymore. So I parted ways with that band, and started putting together Escape the Hive almost right away. So COVID for me, I guess timing wise, it could have been better, but it also could have been worse. So
Very true.
it,
Very true.
I mean, it just shut everything down. And of course, at the time, nobody knew what was around the corner. So everybody's trying to hang on for dear life. And, it just kept being corner after corner after corner.
You were the vocalist of Jake E. Lee's Red Dragon Cartel, and then you formed Escape the Hive in 2021. Forming Escape the Hive, were you thinking on this during this time, or, doing this now? Is this a breath of fresh air for you to actually just say, I'm doing my own stuff?
Exactly. And you hit it right on the head. I mean, I loved my time with playing with Jake and with Red Dragon Cartel. Um, you can't ask for a better guitar player to look to your left and and see Jake there. He's a guitar icon for a reason. And always treated me very well. So I have no problem with Jake whatsoever. Um, but you're right. I mean, these are my songs. These are the ones that I wrote. And as much as I love singing the Badlands stuff, and I definitely do because it's kind of right in my wheelhouse, so
Mhm.
that worked out well. But these are words that I've written, they're songs that I've written, they're songs that I've helped create, and that is a whole different ballgame. It really is. It's different hearing them, it's different playing them, it's definitely different singing them. Um, that you just can't get around it. There's original material is from your heart, and that's that's where it comes from.
So here's the $1 million question, man. How far are we looking back on these songs? How old are these songs? I know some people think, oh, they just wrote these a couple weeks ago, blah, blah, blah. No, these songs could have been stored back 20, 30 years ago. So let's dive
Well,
into that a little bit.
there were a couple of songs on the record that um, even previous to Red Dragon Cartel, I was in a band called, again, Kings of Dust, with some members of Badlands and some other members of Badlands, and um, there was uh, there was a couple songs that were written in the early stages of that when we had a different guitar player, um, and when that band kind of started, um, the bass player didn't want to use those songs. These were the first couple of songs that we were written, so they kind of got shelved. And I always thought they were great songs. So when we were putting Escape the Hive back together and demoing songs, I went back to these immediately because I remembered them right away. Of course, I wrote the lyrics and the melody, and so I asked the guitar player about, hey, is it okay if I revisit these? And it's like, absolutely. So on forward we went, and then the rest of them kind of came through, yeah, through mostly through me and Paul, the bass player, Paul Williams. He and I kind of started out fleshing stuff together. I write with bass players a lot. I kind of always have. It's just, I follow bass players on stage because guitar players are crazy. So I always follow the bass player. It's always been kind of my thing. And so by the time we actually got a guitar player, we had a handful of songs that had already been done, and so it made it a lot easier, for sure.
You know what, man? Good guitar players will run your ass off on the stage too. So you're getting a workout.
Well, they're nuts. They're all crazy. Even mine. They're all nuts.
Was working with DL Marble bassist Paul Williams just a good natural fit for you? And when did you realize, hey, this is part of my crew right here?
Uh, right away. I mean, Paul is somebody that, again, this band, the way it kind of came together is really people that I've been wanting to work with for a while. So this kind of gave me the opportunity to do that. Um, Paul and I have known each other for a long time. He's just a great bass player. he's got a swing that is undeniable and makes singing over easy. Um, I've been fortunate in my career that I've played with some good bass players, um, and some good musicians in general, but Paul has a swing that
Hmm.
is it just makes it great to sing over. So, and he's a great guy.
How's the fans' feedback been on the release of all these singles and plus this album? What have you been seeing, man, that's made you say like, yeah, this is the right move for us?
Um, I mean, the biggest thing is, when you write a record, you really write it for yourself. You can't do it for somebody else, or it's just gonna fail for sure. So whenever you write a record and we kind of had the concept of I of doing a 70s style record, but where most bands that do that 70s style stuff are doing a Purple or Zeppelin type of a thing. We wanted to go the other way, and we wanted to do more of a Boston Foreigner Journey type of a thing. And you never know if that kind of thing is going to resonate with an audience. And so when it does, it's satisfying. I mean, the record reviews that we've gotten are all very, hey, this record doesn't sound like other records. It sounds like something that came from the 70s, and that's really what we were going for. um and we do the same thing when we play live. There's no tracks, there's none of that crap going on. There's 5 of us. We all sing. We're really into harmony and like the bands that I mentioned, and hopefully doing them justice.
Was it important to stay with that authentic 70s sound with a modern day twist on this, Michael, at all?
Yes, absolutely. It was very important. My day job, I'm in the studio now. My day
Yeah.
job is producer, and so that's kind of the way I approach a lot of the records that I do anyway. I There's so many bands that everything that's new that comes out, even if it's a resurgence of something, they all sound the same. They're
Yep.
all drums and auto-tuned vocals, and they all sound exactly the same. And I didn't want to be lumped into that pile.
You're exactly right. And I've been doing this for 14 years, and it seems like since day one, and I'm not knocking anybody out there whatsoever, folks. So don't take it as I am, but I just tell like it is. You go and listen to one song on like streaming whatever, and I do a lot of it because I have to because I
Right.
love it anyway. But it sounds like, did I just listen to this song like 4 tracks ago?
Exactly.
And
Exactly.
I'm not, and then again, I'm not saying it in a bad way. It's just that makes me feel good that hey, there's people discovering and making sounds like this because it's
Yeah.
cool to see 2 different totally bands that don't know anything about each other have some type of style of the same thing. It's absolutely beautiful. But Michael's right. It's just too much of sugar out there, as I should say.
And even older bands that are doing newer records, and I'm not gonna mention any names either, but you hear, a band from the '80s or something, and they put a new record out, and the music is good, and it sounds cool, but it's all plug-in guitars, it's all the same drum, um, samples that they're using, and everything sounds exactly the same. I Even if I like the music, I hate the mix because it's too similar to the last 3 things I've heard. So, like I said, I just didn't wanna be lumped into that. I wanted us to stand out, and, doing real instruments with real people, I don't know why that's a standout, but evidently it is now.
And everything's so easily done with all these apps. You got Pro Tools now that you can use on your computer, your phone, your iPad, wherever you're at. And I just feel like if you use these apps and plugins and stuff, I just feel like, man, you're cheating yourself.
You are, and you're using the same programs and sounds that everybody else is using, and
Yep.
that's sounds like that. That's why, you know, I I mean, if you got a good drummer, for God's sakes, record him.
Yeah. Let him go
And,
wild. Yeah.
yeah, we got a great drummer. So I was more than happy to put AD's snare and kick tone on this record than I would some sample.
And you know, John Bonham didn't sit there and be pigeon-toed to something. I mean, he just went apeshit. Just played
Right.
simple.
And again, a lot of people, every drummer since him has tried to emulate him, but because they're not him and they play different and it's a different kit and it's a not it, even if you're trying to emulate somebody, it doesn't sound the same. So you get
Right.
very something where this it's actually the same kick tone on 100 different records. That's why they all sound like that.
What led the track "It's Not All Right" to be that first song released off this new album? What was it about that said, "Guys, this has got to go out first"?
Well, because that was, I guess, I was going through some things at the time. Um, I had just gotten out of my previous band, and I'd been in that band for a while, and it was a tooth and nail trying to get that record out, and it was really disappointing that it didn't get legs under it because of a lot of reasons. But that whole song is really, it came about because when you ask somebody, hey, are you all right? And they say, yeah, that's not always the case. You got to dig a little deeper because usually it's not all right. There's things going on that if you just ask a couple of questions, they'll tell you. Nobody wants to unload their problems on you. So if that's kind of where that song comes from is, things may look good, but it's not all right. That's kind of where.
Was there a track for the album that totally ended up sounding different than what it was intended to? I know these are your babies. I know you had these back hidden before, but are there any that changed totally?
No, there was. There's a song called "Watching You, Watching Me" that it actually had a completely different set of lyrics, um, and I just never, yeah, it just never felt right, and I didn't want to put anything on this record that didn't feel right. Um, and so I rewrote the lyrics, I rewrote the melody, and it just kind of, again, it just kind of all happened. Um, and afterwards, it was so much better. That little bit of revisit was definitely worth it.
So any songs that didn't make this album, we can get on another album, EP, or maybe just a standalone single down the road, possibly?
Well, funny you mentioned that. Our merch page is going to go up here within the next 15, 20 days. It's been kind of a long time coming. You can get all the information from our page on Facebook and Instagram and all that stuff when it finally goes live. But when it does, we're going to do a special, and I don't know exactly how it's going to be worked out yet. But we've got two songs that are covers that we do in our live set. So if you've seen us on tour earlier in the year or last year, you might know what they are. But we're going to give one of those away I think with every purchase is the way it's going to
Oh,
work.
nice.
So
Nice. Nice.
it's a really cool cover. I can't wait for everybody to hear it. Again, if you've seen us live, you've heard it, and we get a lot of comments on it. So that'll be coming pretty soon. We're shooting a video for "I Can See It," another track off the record, just first part of next month. Um, so that'll kind of take us into the video. Will be ready first part of summer, and we'll go into that. And then there's also some songs that we're playing in the live set that will be on the next record. Um, and we've already got that kind of started. You'll probably see that sometime next year. But the first video for the new record, you might even see this fall.
So speaking of the videos, man, that's what drawn me into liking music a lot when I was a kid, because that's where I first heard it was MTV when it was good. When it was good. But with today versus say 70s, 80s, the pizzazz of the music video is gone now.
Yeah. Yeah. I again, I would agree with you. And I kind of take it back to a lot of the guys using the same things. I mean, I know back then a lot of the videos looked the same way too. So, make a difference. But when we did the video for Separate Lives, which is on YouTube now, you can find it up there. I didn't want it to look like anything that was now. We're a 70 style rock band. I don't want anything that looks current. So he tried to do more. So all the shots are more film like. There's a storyline that goes, with the lyrics that go through the video, and they're shot in a certain way. So again, it doesn't look new. It looks like something old. It looks like, something that would have come out of the late 70s. So I guess that's kind of our theme overall, as we try and make everything like that, whether it be the music or the video. And it worked out pretty well. The video turned out great. So I'm really looking forward to shooting this next one.
Now, again, like I said earlier, these songs are your babies, and I totally get that. But are there any tracks standing out more to you right now, Michael, on this album than any right now, possibly?
I mean, that is that answer is something that changes day to day. There aren't ever any songs that I like better than others on a consistent basis, because, at least for me, every song is kind of its own thing. It says its own thing. So if I'm, in a certain mood, Separate Lives might hit me. If I'm in a certain mood, then, I've Seen the Future might hit me. So because every one of them is a pretty different emotion that the song is based on. So I guess it really depends on the day.
So would you say you got a sleeper song on this album that's not going to be released, possibly?
Yeah, I there is actually. um, we we put out Separate Lives, and we put that out in March or something like that. And the video's done really well. We've had some great response to it, and that's great. And we knew that was going to be the first single, because that was easy. But doing the second one, I actually put one of those poll things up on Facebook. I've done it a couple times, and of the couple songs that we haven't done a full video for, what would you like to see a video for? And it kind of bounced around, but I can see it just like ran away with, from the fan standpoint. It was like 3-1. That wasn't the one I would have picked. I already had a concept in mind for I've Seen the Future. So we kind of changed gears and went, okay, well, I mean, if our audience really wants that, then yeah, let's do that. So we kind of switched gears, and that's going to be the next song on the video.
So would you say track listing placement is important on this album or your EP releases going
Absolutely.
forward?
Yeah, because again, I don't look at a record as singles. I look at it as a record. That's the way I listen to all the records I listen to. I'm kind of a vinylophile. I mean, I've got a pretty good sized vinyl collection, and I usually start every morning with listening to one or two sides of something, and that's always important. Sometimes I don't have sometimes you're walking around the house and you're listening to vinyl, and you hear the first two songs, and then you get busy and you didn't hear 4 and 5. So, I mean, I go back and play that side again because
Yeah.
I've missed something in the translation. So it's very important to me. Absolutely. It's very important to all of us, because we're all kind of in that same mindset.
I know you've been doing this for a very long time, and I know that we grow all the time with music, with anything, because if you don't, you're just going to get stale, and you might as well just quit. But what's the growth for you musically you've seen, from yourself and your bandmates working on this album and seeing it come to life? Has anything captured your eye, like, man, I didn't know this was there with us?
Well, I mean, every band just has a different dynamic. in the way that it works and the way that it sounds and the way that it feels. Um, After the last couple of bands I've been in, again, I was fortunate to play with Jakey Lee for a while, and that was great. Um, but they weren't my songs. So
Right.
as I, I loved singing the Badlands stuff, and I loved singing the Red Dragon Cartel stuff. Um, it's a different thing. So the last time that I put out a record that was my music was a little while ago. That would have been Kings of Dust, and we never got a chance to play it live because of the COVID thing. So being able to march this horse out and play it live, um, we did some touring last year and a little bit this year. We're going to do a lot more over the summer and through the fall, and I love playing with this band live. It's so fun. There's there's just not a lot of drama, and bands are usually full of drama. um, this one just, I don't know, by a stroke of luck or by a stroke of chance or whatever it is, it just, they're all good guys. They're all good people. Um, and they're all great musicians. So being able to go out and to, play a song like I've Seen the Future or something like that and do it live, it's when you're not using tracks and all that stuff, and we don't, it's a different thing because you might do it somewhere on a Thursday and then you might do it somewhere on a Friday, and it's the same song, but it's not always the same feel. It kind of changes from show to show, and um, that's just the dynamic within the band, and I really enjoy that. It's playing live is with this band is has been something I didn't expect to like as much as I do.
The songs with Kings of Dust, are you going to eventually let them see the light of day and play them live or anything like that? Have you thought about that?
Well, we we actually talked about it, and
Okay.
there was that we were going to play live in the early stages of this, but I guess it kind of came to a point where this is such a different dynamic than that was that I just didn't want to look backwards. And we kind of got to the point where if we needed a new song, we wrote one. Like I said, going into the summer, there's probably going to be maybe 4 songs in this set that will be brand new. Escape the Hive, probably be on the next record. Um, and I would rather look forward that way. I really like those songs on that record. That record was a really great record. I'm glad we got it out, and I'm proud of that record. But I think it kind of is what it is, and I would much rather look forward.
Now, you recorded this Escape the Hive album yourself, but let me ask you this though. Do you like having that control of doing it yourself, or would you eventually want to work with a producer maybe?
Well, that's kind of, and let me preface it with this: is that normally I tell bands if you're going to produce your own record, it's the kiss of death.
Mm,
It really is because a most bands a producer does things um, that a recording engineer doesn't do. Um, they push certain aspects of the song. They also keep you on a time schedule, and that's the biggest problem with bands that do their own records is when they don't have a time schedule, they take all the time in the world, and those songs never see the light of day because they're constantly going over. Again, I'm lucky in this band that everybody has has worked in the studio, done a fair amount of studio work. So when I'm changing hats a lot, but I usually only wear one at a time. So I when I when we're going through and putting songs down for basic tracks, I kind of rely on AD and Paul to put them together. I'll speak my opinion and they'll listen, but I trust those guys. And then when it comes to getting the vocals down, I'm lucky in the fact that my wife used to be an opera singer. So she's actually the ones that helps me track my vocals, and she knows my voice pretty well. We've been married for quite some time. And she knows my voice. She knows what I can do with it. And if I'm not doing that, she'll call me out on it. And that's something that is hugely important. And then when you get to the mixing stage, it's kind of the same thing. I am constantly bouncing ideas of well, what about this, what about this, back with Paul and with the rest of the band. And so even though we're not using a producer other than me, we kind of are, because we're kind of doing it in sections. That being said, I would love to work with another producer at some point. It would be a joy for me, for sure.
Now we're going to get to know Michael. Just for Michael, we're going to pique his interest on what he likes here, folks, because I love this segment of what I do here. If you could write an album equivalent to your favorite band's album, which album would that be?
Well, God, I'm going to totally tank the question. Uh, I mean, my answer is that I can't really come up with one album that is my favorite album. There's a handful of them. There's, you know, Old Kansas with Steve Walsh, one of my favorite singers. The original lineup of Van Halen with David Lee Roth is a huge influence on me. So all those things go into what I'm doing for sure, whether you can hear them or not. So I guess I would much rather do the next Escape the Hive record than anything else that I could do, because I know all those influences are going to be in there. God, that's a really cheap way of answering your question. It's so non-committal, but it's the truth.
It is what it is, man. That's how you feel. That's how you feel. No biggie. If you could be a member in an iconic band and play one of their legendary shows, which band would it be and what show possibly?
Well, I guess I kind of got a taste of that playing with Jake.
Hmm.
You know, singing those Badland songs was it was huge for me. Um, Again, it's it's kind of in my wheelhouse, fortunately. Anyway, Ray was a huge influence on me as far as a singer. I mean, anybody that's heard a Badlands record and knows who Ray is, and you're a singer, you know what he brought to the table. So that, I guess, I got a little bit of a taste of it that way. And it was great in the time that I was there. I really enjoyed going through those songs. It was a privilege for sure.
What's been your most memorable show that you've been a part of that you still cannot believe to this day that you were? Or have you had that moment yet?
I have, and this was it. I'm originally from Nebraska. I moved to Phoenix, Arizona in '94. So I've been here for a while, and I've been, in bands here and there, and kind of got into the studio part of things for quite some time. Um, but my favorite show was just this last summer. We went back to kind of my old stomping ground through Nebraska, and we played a kind of a tour through there. And that was huge for me because I hadn't been back there playing a show with an original band, with my band, since I left. And so that was being able to bring not only a band and not only an original band, but Escape the Hive. And it was really important to me, and it checked off a lot of boxes. And we're going to go back there this summer and do that again. And I'm sure I'll have some more boxes to check. So I'm looking forward to that.
All right, Michael, how can folks stay in touch with Escape the Hive? Pick up this new album, all the singles, everything under the sun for Escape the Hive right now. How can they do that, good sir?
Well, the easiest way is, if everybody's familiar with Linktree, go to our Linktree account. It's got links to everything, all the videos, all the songs, all the whether you want it on streaming, if you want it on CD, you can order. If you want it on vinyl, because now we have the record out on vinyl, you can order it that way. If you want to get in touch with the band on Facebook or Instagram, there's links to that. Or just contact us directly on that, and pretty soon the new Escape the Hive website will, like I say, it'll be up soon, and I would watch for our Facebook and Instagram pages, and we'll be announcing that as soon as it's up. Trust me.
Everybody stick around. We got some great stuff coming up. You always hear these interviews right here on BODS Mayhem Hour. Get out, check out our Facebook page, and also to go to YouTube. Follow us and subscribe on YouTube if you like what I'm doing, and I hope you guys and gals do, because I really enjoy bringing these interviews to you guys and gals. So please do that for me. Check out Escape the Hive new album. It's their debut album. This Is Gonna Sting. It was released back in September 2023. Give this band a fair shot, and trust me, you're gonna dig them. So Michael, thank you so much for doing this interview, my man.
Thank you, man. I really appreciate it. Had a great time.
You're listening to BODS Mayhem Hour.
Follow us on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram.